Welcome to the World Football Summit podcast, the show for football industry leaders who want to stay ahead of the game. We bring you the latest insights, trends, and stories from the experts driving innovation and progress in sports business worldwide. Join us as we dive deep into the ideas and initiatives transforming the world of football. From sustainability and innovation to player development, fan engagement, and everything in between. Our goal is to unite the global football industry and drive positive change and progress. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I'm your host, Jaime, CMO at World Football Summit. Today, we welcome two top-tier guests to the show. Alexander Jobst, CEO at Fortuna Düsseldorf, and Christophe Jehan, Deputy CEO at Targobank, join us to discuss in depth the fantastic Fortuna for All initiative. Now, in case you don't know about this groundbreaking project, the essence of it is that over the next 5 years, Fortuna will play 3 home games per season where fans can enjoy the match in the stadium completely free. This is a never-seen-before type of project in football. And as a matter of fact, the club won the WFS Best Branding Initiative Award presented by Summa Branding during the last edition of World Football Summit Europe. And guess what? I could not have picked a better day to record this episode because Fortuna played their first game just 2 days before, and the match included an amazing comeback where they beat Kaiserslautern 4-3. As I said, the three of us discussed the initiative in detail, including what triggered the idea, how was the decision process like, the key success factors, and how they plan to evolve it in the future. Then, we transition into a conversation about the sponsorship and partnerships landscape before finishing off with a fantastic conversation about leadership and career advice for sports industry professionals. Oh man, this was such a fun conversation. I'm glad we managed to make it happen. And you know who didn't miss it? My cup of Juan Valdez, which is 100% premium Colombian coffee. Again, I've said this before, I am very picky when it comes to coffee. And I must say, Juan Valdez definitely hits the bar. But this cup of coffee is much more than that. It is a premium blend developed by female coffee makers, and Juan Valdez has this program in which they look to empower these women both economically and socially. This resonates very much with the Female Leadership in Football initiative we launched at World Football Summit a few months back. So I'm very excited to partner with them to offer this premium blend to you. You can order it online at es.juanvaldez.com. Again, that's es.juanvaldez.com. And they actually have a special discount for the World Football Summit podcast listeners. All you need to do is enter the code WFS Podcast at checkout. And the best thing is, they deliver to all markets in Europe. So give it a try and let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on your platform of choice and share it with your industry colleagues. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, where every week we send updates, trends, and everything that goes on at our events. You can find the link in the show notes. One of those events is actually World Football Summit Asia, coming up on December 12th and 13th. Are you going to miss it? Head over to our website and buy your ticket. Visit asia.worldfootballsummit.com. Again, that's asia.worldfootballsummit.com. And again, find the ticket for you. Now, enjoy this conversation with Alexander Jobst and Christophe Jehan from Targobank. Well, Alex, Christophe, welcome to the World Football Summit podcast. This is a conversation I've been looking forward to having for a long time. Because I think we're going to discuss one of the most groundbreaking initiatives in the world of football. So yeah, welcome both of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So before going into discussing Fortuna for All, which is why we're here, I wanted to ask you if you could briefly introduce yourself to the audience. And I always like to ask my guests, why is it that you do what you do?
Thank you. My name is Alexander Jobst. I'm the CEO of Fortuna Düsseldorf since February 22, with quite of experience in the football business. After studying sports economy, I used to work on the corporate side for several years at Siemens, working in sponsorship activities worldwide. From there, jumped to Real Madrid as the first foreign employee in football of Real Madrid. From there to FIFA, the large organization in organizing and hosting and selling events. And from there to Schalke. And right now, I'm in the privilege and responsibility together with my team to lead Fortuna to a hopefully very successful future.
So my name is Christophe Jehan. I'm the deputy CEO of Targobank, one of the main partners of Fortuna 95. Basically, 25 years of banking experience from corporate investment banking to retail banking, deputy CEO at Targobank since now 3 years. And before that, running different subsidiaries of BNP Paribas. And that is it, to make it short.
So yeah, well, thank you both for introducing yourself. And as I said at the intro, we're going to talk about Fortuna for All, which is a groundbreaking initiative. Alex even won an award at World Football Summit, so I'm really thrilled. But take us back to the beginning, Alex. What was the trigger? What was the insight? Why did you decide to do this?
Well, by starting our professional work at Fortuna Düsseldorf around 18 months ago, we had a look on Fortuna's business and Fortuna's way and also on Fortuna's identity for what does Fortuna want to stand for the future. And analyzing the club's current perspective economically and also sportively, we came to the conclusion that we had to change something. To change something in the city of Düsseldorf, in the sport city, but also in the way forward for Fortuna's plan on sportive, on business, and also from a society point of view. And that's why we started a completely new, I would say, kind of revolutionary concept and working on it.
Okay. And from a financial perspective, at the end of the day, how do you ensure positive IRR, return on investment? Because I mean, obviously, you're going to need a lot of support from your partners. So, how was this initial conversation with them?
Well, that's the most critical question we always get confronted with, or I would say, which we have to talk also within the business about it. As communicated, we see this as an future concept with a journey where we just started, and from our point of view, it was very important at a very early stage to get a noise within the business and within corporate large companies. How is the reaction on that? And that's why Christophe and myself are sitting now together. When we started our talks to corporate companies, one of the first companies we get in a very intense discussion with was Targobank.
Okay. And Christophe, from your perspective, I mean, I don't know if you can go into a little bit of detail on the type of support that you're giving to the club, and I guess more importantly, how do you justify this from a business perspective?
I mean, it was very clear that I would say from day one, we tried to flip the coin in a way. It was a different investment. And we are usually calculating this return on investment and cost benefit calculations and all these kind of nice things. But this time we, in a way, saw the success in rather what you do than what you get in a way. And what you do from day one was very clear. It was ESG thinking, youth investment, grassroots, women football and everything. And this was part of the game. And at the end of the day, being owned by a cooperative bank, that's our DNA, I would say. And that was really where we said, okay, we'll go over the top and we'll make it.
And well, thank you for that. But one question: if without making this initiative being about making soccer available or football available for everyone, would you still be a partner of the club?
No, I think the partnership is flies mainly because of Fortuna Düsseldorf. It's very clear. I mean, we're sharing common values there. As I said, we are owned by a cooperative bank, and somehow sustainable thinking has been there for a while now. And we saw this as a mission somehow. And in a way, it was fitting our image, but also it was fitting the mission we want to have in society. So that's where we pushed the button. And that's the way, at least I convinced top management of the group. So that's the way we saw it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Maybe it's important to underline that we are not talking about the standardized sponsorship engagements. That was very important from the beginning to have a common understanding what is about. It is about sports engagement, but it has also a huge society and social impact, and that's the umbrella of the concept. At the end of the day, every partner wants to see the results, which with the results, what is happening on the pitch. Obviously, we are a football club and we want to be successful. That's the most attractive, I would say, attribute you can contribute and you can deliver. But how to come there and how to be able to reach this objective, there we wanted to go a completely different approach. And that's why we had from the beginning a common understanding what is the direction and what is the, I would say, expectation of Targobank towards this concept, and where we developed the concept even further together before announcing it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And that's actually something I wanted to ask you about later on. I mean, this is more than just a business metric related partnership. I would say it goes far beyond that. But I guess that begs the question that I want to ask you both, actually, because both organizations will look at it differently. How are you going to measure the success of this initiative? Alex, I don't know if you want to start.
I leave the floor to Christophe on this about the results.
Please do.
We just delivered last Saturday, so now therefore
One of the traps we should really be avoiding is to think that this is sports results driven and everything. I think this is quite a unique experience. I think one of the beauty of the concept actually it's that it's not a normal partnership or whatsoever. It's like more like a business model. Somehow you get three kinds of partners, usually super different. The city of Düsseldorf, a financial organization, and a sport club binded from day one because of a very interesting commitment with it, which has something to do with ESG as well, on top of the sports results. So when suddenly you're joining values and football is nothing comparable, I would say. So that's really the way we're going to measure it. I mean, if by playing value state of the art, you can find top division soccer experience in Düsseldorf, then here you go. You're super successful.
Maybe Jaime, to add this, how could we guarantee the measurement also on the perspective and analyzing the results of this partnership? We clearly said from the beginning, we distribute the income of these new partnerships on a very transparent way. Besides the investment in professional team, we want to deliver to social engagement, to social projects, to ESG, to women's and youth development, and also to the digital empowerment of the club for the future. That is very important. And Christophe just mentioned the city plays an important role within this concept. For the first time, the city contributes back to the club and to its partners. Then we are able to develop more in the stadium and to commercialize even more in the stadium, which comes to the end to a higher income and also to contribution to other projects which are also relevant for the sports city.
Yeah, I love that because basically what I understood from both of your answers is this is about first establishing the foundations of a strong partnership. And then from there, we're going to have conversations about how we're going to drive impact, but not only impact from a business perspective. Christophe, you said it very well. This is about having the powerful connection that football and values bring together, right? And then how we can use that framework, if you will, to think of ideas of how we create that high impact. No? So that's very interesting. I hope the audience learns from that because it's not about the tactic itself. It's, okay, let's establish a foundation and then we'll go for the tactics, right? In terms of the future, though, I mean, okay, so you implemented it. You have that amazing comeback win the other day, Alex. But if proven successful throughout the year or throughout the entire length of the initiative, let's say, how do you think this is going to evolve? Is there any grand vision, any horizon to look forward to?
Well, there cannot be a vision because there's no comparable institution or organization who has ever done or started this kind of initiative. Therefore, we are fully convinced about the success by getting surrounded, first of all, by very strong partners. like Targobank as one of our main partners, coming on board and committing for that long period for this concept. Second, the response in the business, but also on the fan perspective by launching this concept was very positive. That means and proves maybe there's a kind of pulse, a kind of signal we're going to spread in the professional football. Having said this, we believe that this concept has been always seen as, has to be always get started by Düsseldorf. It's a Düsseldorf individual concept where we believe it could be successful here. And we just started. I repeat it again. We started on a long-term journey. So it's a kind of pilot phase this season. We have to learn, and there will be some mistakes. There will be also lessons where we have to criticize ourselves internally, but also getting the external feedback and the fan opinions about this. And then from there, we go next step. And hopefully we find more strong commercial and also partners and companies who are believing in this concept with the social impact behind it. And from there, we go step by step with offering more free matches for the future, with initializing and implementing more social projects for the future. When we started in April, now it's October, we're happy that we just implemented the first free match ever in professional football. And it went successful, not only on the pitch, it went successful also in the organization, which gives us the courage and also the kind of motivation to go further.
Christophe, if you have any, thoughts of your own about the grand vision about this project on the long term.
To be very honest, it's hard to see, and we are trying to enjoy the momentum, I would say. But I think what was identified from day one is that it was like what we call a global concept. Somehow you're thinking global, but you act local. And at the end of the day, I think one of the stuff that was quite amazing here, and the way it's going to develop is very interesting to follow. This was a regional stuff, but suddenly became a nationwide story. And that's the interesting part, because somehow probably Fortuna going forward and in a few years to come will be seen as, oh yeah, that's the guy that did that, by the way. And then you have a signal of recognition nationwide. Making a parallel with the Real Sociedad in Spain, they have their identity, for instance, and maybe Fortuna will be recognized for that later on, which I found quite interesting.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I'm wondering, do you think this is something, you were alluding to this before, Alex, do you think this is something that other clubs will look into? Will they do similar initiatives in the future?
Well, the first recognition and the first reaction or within the business, and in particular between the clubs, that was quite respectful and also kind of graduating to us, that we have the courage to do that. Having said this, in every club you have different circumstances, you have different expectations, and you have different business plans, and you sometimes also have different structures in terms of investors, foreign owners. At our situation with Fortuna Düsseldorf, and also the long-term commitment to be still able working independently as a football organization driven by its members, we did our own way, and we started our own long-term strategic approach. I don't know whether other clubs or organizations will follow that route. And honestly speaking, that's not part of our job, and we don't have to answer these questions. We believe that we had to change something within our organization. We believe that we had to identify strong partners who are convinced about this way of football business for the future. And that's why we are curious how the reaction from year to year gonna be seen by the brand, the business, and also other clubs. But we believe in us, and we believe that we are on the right track, and therefore we are happy to have this successful start.
Yeah. The context is everything, right? At the end of the day, each club is going to have their own different set of stakeholders, context, market environment, and that's going to determine if this is going to be seen or not around the world, no? Which kind of segue into the next part of the conversation that I want to talk about, which is basically partnership between clubs and brands. And Christophe, I want to start with you, because when you look at properties like Fortuna, um, what is the criteria? What are you look for in terms of evaluating these partnerships, and also in terms of objectives? Do you see an evolution in terms of being just awareness driven to be more impact driven?
What we know is that from a marketing perspective, there are more and more players that are looking stuff a bit differently than the traditional way, and letting space and room for more holistic vision. And I think the way you impact the society is gonna matter more and more. And that's very obvious. I mean, if you take like big corporations such as Danone, that's very obvious, and that is true reality these days. So yes, marketing is going to evolve. To be frank, to which extent and for which kind of players, hard to say. But at least that's the choice we made, and I can only speak for myself.
No, I fully agree what Christophe said, and at the end it has to fit between identity and future philosophy, between the brands and the club. If a club does not have an identity and a way forward, what the club wants to achieve besides sportive results, it's going to be more and more complicated for the future to last strong and long-term relationships. Therefore, for us, it was very important to have a very clear and strong commitment for the upcoming years, and with this strategic direction, and then with the commitment of Targobank over at least 5 years, we have a very and a stronger commitment you cannot have. Therefore, we have to deliver, and at the end of the day, both parties will expect and will gain the results on it.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I guess this is an open question for both. Other than having a common identity, having commitment with each other over the long term, are there any key success factors that, anybody listening can learn from your example about what makes a successful partnership between a brand like Targobank and a football property like Fortuna?
I mean, I can speak from an image perspective of a very strong corporation such as a bank. But I mean, what we know is that, I mean, there are plenty of sports you could invest, but football is different, and somehow it goes an extra mile, because it gives you somehow investing in football, it's being in the true life, and the true life is you, and therefore the we are close to you, basically. So it's like a three-band story. And for long, football was having difficulties to get through big brands because of the values. I think this could be a game changer if with a small pinch of salt of values would probably change the way football can find partners going forward. And so that's probably one of the learning of Fortuna through Ali initiative.
From a club perspective, next to or besides sportive results, obviously, what empowers and proves a successful partnership is if the club receives and gains more fans and supporters for the future. If the brand value is rising with this, and the brand value is growing, obviously because of the concept, because of these partnerships, which are more than just a sponsorship, and then results come automatically, meaning if we're going to develop this concept successfully on an economic but also on a project's way for the future, we will become with much more higher percentage sported successful. And the overall objective of both Targobank and Fortuna, we want to play and we want to maintain and deliver first division football in Düsseldorf for the future.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Alex. It reminds me of a conversation I once had with the guys from Villarreal. They were saying that one of the keys is to get fans to actually resonate with a given club to create higher engagement. And I think this initiative is going to resonate with a lot of people around the world. But that's going to create more engagement. Ideally, that's going to create, even from a business perspective, even more revenue. And that should also help the team's performance, ideally. That's kind of like the ideal flywheel that you want to generate with this. So it goes way beyond the initiative itself, no? So very interesting. I guess in that sense, I was also thinking from both of your perspective, how have you seen the sports marketing landscape evolve over the years? Because this is groundbreaking, but I guess it also responds to changes in the overall market, if you will.
Well, if I may start, if you have a look on the football business and the spread of the big, only few global brands, like, for example, Real Madrid and some others, in comparison to many, many other football clubs, the spread is becoming more and more and more wide. Would say it's that wide that in the normal way of driving business, you cannot close the gaps on the economic scale anymore. Having said this, of course, and obviously, we feel that there's a lot of engagement around our new way of driving football business for the future. And honestly speaking, it is a business model. It is a social and society impact driven business model, but we still play professional football, and football on a professional way is business. Therefore, we believe that Fortuna Düsseldorf, in its understanding, in its expectations towards the fans, supporters, members, and also the partners who are joining us, we had to change something and to get this brand stronger than before. And what we are now realizing that the brand value is already increasing on a very positive way without having even finished the first season yet with this new strategic direction, which is positive. But also, having said this, it gives us the responsibility and all the work which is ahead of us to do and to deliver for the future, because it's long term. And I would like to add this. That's the expectation which we have to fulfill, and we know this. Therefore, we're gonna see this long term with the start of the journey.
Thank you for that. Christophe, anything to add on your side from a brand perspective? How do you see this landscape evolving around sports marketing?
I think Alex said it all, and on top, I'm not an expert, so I would just go on the same opinion as Alex. I think might be a positive circle at some points. That's what we do first. Will probably trigger some positive stuff and then bring more money. At the end of the day, we're also running a capitalistic company, I would say. So this is the first start, and if all the partners are well aligned, probably this will create a positive wave around the club and probably inspire some others.
Yeah, I think it will. And that's what I was thinking, actually, what you just said there. I mean, obviously, it's great that Fortuna is seeing the brand value increase so much, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and a business needs revenue. It needs cash. It needs to be sustainable, right? So at the end of the day, the brand value is great, but it has to be tied to creating business and overall long-term sustainability from the economic front. No?
If I can add to this, if the brand value is increasing and the brand value is getting more popular, the association, the binding and the commitment of partners is even stronger. If there's no identity, if there's no big brand or high brand value, and if there are no attributes the brand stands for, which partners cannot associate, you won't be successful in the commercialization of it. Therefore, that's a big step for us. And within this concept, Fortuna Düsseldorf does know what it wants to stand for in the future. We gave this answer to ourselves, which was very important. Having one look back, and please allow me to start with this again. When I started my job here at Fortuna Düsseldorf, I talked to many, many members and fans and asked them the same question. For what does Fortuna Düsseldorf stand for? First of all, and very positive, I got so many results and so many answers, but they were completely different. So that was one other aspect why we said we have to go and to talk to many, many people to find a direction where we want to go for. One answer of this concept is that Fortuna Düsseldorf does give an answer for the future right now for what it wants to stand for.
But that, Alex, is very interesting because we believe at World Football Summit that the sports business model of the future has to involve the fan more than what it currently does. And what you did just at the beginning is said, "Hey, I'm gonna ask my fans what do they think of their club." And that for them is a sign that the club really counts on them, and that's gonna again create more engagement, create more. It's gonna be something that resonates more with them. So I think that was a very interesting move on your side to do so. I want to be respectful of both of your time. And I just want to move into the final segment of the conversation, which is more about, leadership and career advice, because I think you both are at very interesting positions. You've had remarkable careers, and I'm sure the audience can learn a lot from you. So, Alex, I want to start with you because you said at the beginning, no, you've been involved with top tier brands like Real Madrid, like FIFA, so how do those experiences help you prepare for your role at Fortuna?
Well, I try to answer very, very quickly on this. It is very important when you lead a member-driven and very fan-associated football club that you have some experience how to lead a group, not on a corporate level, but how also to get involved and to measure the emotions around a football club from a fan and member perspective. Communication is key. Communication is everything. You have to listen a lot because fans and members are here since, I would say, ever. They know the football club. They know the identity of the club. They know what they want to expect for the future. And if you come as a foreign person and maybe a manager to a football club and want to lead it, you have to listen. You have to listen. You have to understand the heart of the football club. It takes sometimes years. And for me personally, it was very helpful to have experience in traditional football brands, also from before Real Madrid or Schalke. It was important to understand the heart of a football club, which is always very different. But first, you have to listen before you start a strategy.
That's interesting insight. No, listen before having to gain the insight to then drive the strategy. No, it's a framework that I've discussed with other leaders in the past. So it's good to see that other remarkable leaders are applying it as well. And yourself from your end, I mean, I'm sure that Targobank is exposed, and you yourself have been exposed to many different industries and sectors worldwide. No, so why football? What is the potential that you see in the industry? Why is it what makes it unique?
Let me start this way. I mean, football is the most popular sport on earth, isn't it? And I found quite interesting. If you look at the roots, the Latin roots of popular, it's popularis, and popularis means belong to the people. And that's the simple answer Fortuna Fiorale gave. I mean, this was a popular sport before, and let's give it back to the people. So that's where our group was quite charmed by the concept. And when you see these days what's happening in big clubs, I mean, I'm French, so when I look at Paris, for instance, I see a slightly breach between the fans and the club in a way. And Fortuna did the other way around. So football and values, as I said, nothing comparable.
Yeah. And that's interesting because at the end of the day, you both are saying more or less the same thing. It's listen to the fans, involve the fan, give it back to the people. Football is a popular sport. That's, I guess, the degree of alignment that you both have from both sides, no? Um,
From the
so,
beginning.
yes, I don't know if this was planned or not, but they came out as very natural. So thank you for that. Anyway, and I also, I mean, a lot of the people that listen to us are young, aspiring professionals of the industry. They want to develop their career in sports. They want to have a successful career, and especially related to marketing, commercial, clubs, at brands like Targobank. So, what advice would you have for them?
Maybe a simple answer, try to establish a network as soon as possible because the football business is still, I would say, a business where people talk each other, where people know each other, where people learn from each other. And the sooner you can start grabbing information, know-how, networking pillars around you, the higher chances you will have to gain a lot of knowledge and also first, I would say, impressions and first experiences in this very interesting and very emotional football industry, which it still is. And from there, open-minded and always be, I would say, open enough to learn from day to day, because in this football business, you will never learn everything or never know everything in terms of business and in terms of also understanding the people. That's so emotional. No day is comparable with the day before. Not any single day. That's the better expression.
I love that, because that's actually I've heard from other leaders, the power of a network in sports. And I'm assuming, I'm going to ask you, Christophe, now that this is also key in any industry out there, no? Because that's going to help you learn. It's going to help you find new dynamics. It's going to open up a lot of opportunities, no? You never know where a good network can take you. Christophe, on your side, is there any particular advice you would give to professionals that maybe they don't want to go directly into a club, but they want to be associated to sport in a way?
Now I'm curious about Christophe's answer, because he had a lot of time to think about.
Yeah.
No, I mean, first I have to be humble, because I'm just a banker. No, I think I would not dare to advise anyone wanting to start a career in sport, because I'm not very well qualified. But what I can say, I think, and that was the thing that impressed me, is that, and especially Fortuna is a very good illustration of that, is if you want to crack the code, you have to pass the first hurdle. And that's exactly where it starts to be difficult, because you have many, many ways to find the first hurdle and just say, okay, I'm going to drop it. It's not going to fly. It's going to be a failure. Let's put it this way. And I mean, these guys here, they were quite resilient. They did the homework, they worked, and they prepared the stuff. And if you would have said, let's say 3 years ago, to someone who would on earth put a bet on a professional club getting this way, you would have no answers. And that's the interesting stuff. They cracked the code. They passed the first hurdle, by the way. That was last Saturday, first free game. I think at the end of the day, nothing is impossible as long as you sort of believe into it. So that's
a great learning.
What impressed me, at least.
That's a great learning. You have to really believe and have that, conviction and resilience. Those are great lessons that you guys shared. So, again, I want to be respectful. I just want to have, the opportunity to ask you one last question, if I may. As you know, we introduced a rebranding initiative at World Football Summit, and one of the things that we want to focus on is how this football industry that we work in has to evolve. It has to commit to excellence, to innovation, to sustainability across its pillars, economic, social, environmental. So if you were, or let's put it this way, would you be able to define in 1-2 sentences the football industry you want or the football industry you need? How would you do this? Whoever wants to take it first, and I'll give you time to think about it if you need it. But I'm really interested in knowing about your opinion, given how this conversation has evolved, because to me, Fortuna is a clear example of the football industry we want and we need. It's impact, it's long-term sustainability, it's fan engagement. So please go ahead.
Well, Simon, that's a very, very tricky question, and I believe there's no simple answer to that. But what I would like to say is that driving the future way of football business in our profession, the way of Fortuna's business, what is behind everything we do? The answer will be we want to protect the values of the club from historical point of view, also towards the future, by being able at the same time to be open for new perspectives, for new perspective, which gives us the chance to drive the values of the club towards the younger generation, to keep this football club relevant, popular, and helping being able to drive the football popularity also for the future with the values and open-minded ways of driving business for Fortuna for the future.
That's a great answer. Thank you for that. Christophe, anything from your side?
Well, I think if I wonder myself why football is so popular in a way, it's probably because it gives pride to the fans, and I mean this pride is priceless. I would say everyone belongs to something, and this pride is something to be entertained. And when I look at the values, I think there are some rooms here to improve. To be frank, talking about fair play, respect, and all this kind of thing. I think we've gone a bit too far when it comes to finding heroes, and I think a bit less heroes, a bit more collective values would help football. And I think even big clubs are starting to think this way, like in UK, for instance. I mean, that's probably something people are expecting.
I think so. I think one of the key words for me is legacy. And you alluded to that, Alex, in your answer. I mean, we really have to value the legacy of a club, of a brand, of the fans are there because of the legacy the club has given them, right? So how did you respect that legacy, but then innovate without forgetting that legacy? So I want to thank you for that answer because it's a great example. I want to thank you both. I don't know if there's any final words that you want to say, you want to share with the audience. Where can people learn from both of you? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much also from our side, Jaime. And we will be happy to invite you one day. I look in the eyes of Christophe right now to be part of our Fortuna initiatives. And feel free to come to Germany, to Düsseldorf, and enjoy one of our home matches. Maybe it's a free match. And follow our road and follow our journey for the future.
Oh, this is recorded, so I'm gonna take on that invitation, and I will, because I think we need a round two. Hopefully, we can do a round two in the stadium as you're there. So and it would be my pleasure. Christophe, you want to add anything on your end?
No, I think a very easy takeaway at the end, but I think we did it all for the people. I think that's the genuine idea, and that does not belong to Targobank. That definitely belongs to Fortuna, and I think that's new somehow. That's strange, but that's new.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to end. This is for the people. Well, I want to thank you both very much. This has been, a fantastic conversation. I had very high expectations, and I can, really say this over-delivered. So thank you, and definitely, I'm writing my diary now a potential round two to see how this journey evolves, Alex. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Jaime.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
And there you have them, Alexander and Christophe, in a fantastic conversation about the real values of football. So many takeaways from this one. I'm going to try to sum it all up the best that I can. The success of the initiative is based on a strong partnership between Fortuna Düsseldorf, Targobank, and the city of Düsseldorf. This is key. First, establish the foundations for a strong partnership, and then the initiatives will come. But one of the key lessons to keep in mind is that clubs should listen to fans as much as possible. Alex asked them what Fortuna represented for them, and this is key for the evolution of the sports business model. Involve the fan as much as possible, which is something we discussed with Michael Broughton on previous episode of the World Football Summit podcast. Going back to what a strong partnership is, it's about having a joint identity, about commitment, about making impact beyond just the business and connecting with fans in ways that resonate with them. This drives engagement and ultimately more revenues. This cannot be forgotten. Even if this is creating amazing brand awareness for Fortuna Düsseldorf, the long-term goal should be revenue. And that is something that Alex has in mind constantly. Finally, the football industry they want involves respecting the legacy of the club, but being open to innovation. We discussed this with Reide as well. And also, remember that pride is priceless. As Christophe said, football is for the people, and respecting their pride is a must. Did anything else stand out to you? Let us know on social media. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on your platform of choice, and share it with your industry colleagues. Oh, and before we go, if you're ever in Madrid and you're looking for a place to network effectively, share a traditional Spanish snack but with a modern touch, or simply enjoy a relaxing moment for yourself with a delicious sweet pastry to break your day, make sure you visit La Hermosita. You won't miss. Not kidding. I recently bought my wife a small piece of cake for a special occasion and she just loved it. So again, visit La Hermosita. And when you go there, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the World Football Summit podcast. You can find the link to their website on the notes of the episode. Remember, you can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, where you can find everything related to our events, about trends, about dynamics that go on in the industry, and you can find the link in the show. Precisely, one of those events is World Football Summit Asia, coming up on December 12th and 13th in Jeddah. Are you going to miss it? Head over to asia.worldfootballsummit.com and buy your ticket. Nothing else from my side. I want to thank you for tuning into this masterclass on the World Football Summit podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure I did. Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you next time.